Thank you, Madam Chair. So first, I'd like to begin by introducing the lovely, talented, amazing Priscilla Danino, who is our coordinator of early childhood. Did I get that right? I've known Miss Danino for years. She is an exemplary educator, but truly an expert in early childhood and has been instrumental in our development of this initiative under the great leadership of Ms. Jane Klein, who you heard from earlier today, the Assistant Superintendent of Elementary Leading and Learning. So to get us started, maybe, see if we can, there we go, now the computer's awake. What we know and understand, and I don't think will be a surprise to our community, is the absolute critical importance of early learning, really the literacy development of children at day one of birth. And then we know that in the first 5 years of life, it is absolutely critical to the overall lifelong development of a child into adulthood. And if you've raised a child, you know those early years, they are moving fast, they are learning fast, and they're making us move fast. In fact, they develop more than 1 million neuron connections per second. I wish I could say the same still for me. But their brains are wired from the moment of birth to get ready to learn for the rest of their lives, and their neurons are just firing at accelerated rates. So we began discussion, how do we capitalize on those early years of a child's life to really lay the foundation of solid literacy acquisition? And we discussed a way, how do we support families? How do we connect with our families in those earliest stages of life to give them resources and tools and connections with how to support their child in with literacy? Because we know if we can help families with the development of literacy by 5, when a child comes into our schools in kindergarten, reading what we call reading ready, then the trajectory of that child's literacy accomplishment is on pace and on track for our teachers when the child comes to our schools. So how do we be a partner in that early journey? In developing and fostering a love for learning, but also a love for literacy. So that is what was the impetus behind Thrive by 5. We began development of a website and a logo design, and then we went out to our community health partners, because the reality is we wait right now for the kids to walk into our schools at 4 years old for VPK or 5 years old for kindergarten, and we don't know who those families are until they walk in our doors. But our health partners who have the birthing centers, they had the very first introduction to kids in the community. We said, if we can connect with our health partners and our birthing centers and get resources and supports in the hands of families, and then develop that relationship in the coming years, we can not only help the parents in developing that love for learning and literacy, but also be a partner with them along that journey. So, launching soon, actually official hard launch on Monday, November 1st, is our Brevard Thrive by 5 website, where I love this quote. I think this is actually Miss Danino's quote, so got to give her the credit. Watching your child grow and develop is like turning a kaleidoscope. Each lens you look through shows you something different. With that in mind, we knew we had to create and develop a dynamic website. As you can see, the tabs at the bottom of the screen, they represent all of the different resources that are available on our website for families. So you may ask, well, how are you going to connect with these families? You've talked about the healthcare, the birthing centers, and so on. We have, Ms. Danino, will you hold up one of our resource bags? We have to put together, with our local hospital partners, this resource bag that will be delivered to the hospital birthing centers, and they have agreed to give them to families when they have a child in their hospital. The family can review that, take advantage of the resources, be introduced to our website. But also, if you'll open one up so everyone can see, we want to give them their first book, their first early childhood book, Brown Bear, What Do You See? We still have it in our house from years ago. We're waiting to use it with grandkids. Hint, hint. I'm going to get in trouble for that one.
Yes, you are.
But also, we have a bib or a towel for our families that celebrates the birth of their child and connects them with Thrive by 5. I have to do a huge shout out to our 3 major health partners in our community: Parrish, Stewart Medical Group, and Health First. I made a phone call to each of the CEOs in the organization, and I said, we've got this crazy idea of connecting with all the families who are having kids in our community every year, every day throughout the year. The problem is I don't know who they are, but you do, because they come through your birthing centers. Would you allow us to provide for you? We'll put them together, these resource packets or bags for families. And immediately, it was the quickest absolute yes I've ever received from a business partner in the community. And not only have they given us access to the birthing center, but every one of the health partners made a financial contribution and have virtually offset the entire cost of this initiative and made a 5-year commitment to continue doing that for our community. So we launched a packing day. 3 weeks ago, a bunch of staff got together and put together the first, I think it was 500 bags. They're ready to be delivered out in our birthing centers. You see the bins there. They're all ready to go. The plan, we will continue to pack. We may be having co-packing parties with Children's Hunger Project and then also our Thrive by 5, but we'll refill the bins, redeliver them to our birthing centers so they can continue to make those resources available to our families. So what does the community launch look like? Monday, November 1st, you will be getting information or announcement of our news conference that we'll be doing with our health partners, making that announcement formally to our entire community. And then we'll also be having a social media event with BPS and those partners moving forward. You're going to start to see billboards and the Thrive by 5 logo beginning to prompt people's interest and attention to this initiative. And then we're launching our podcast on Monday as well through our social media sites. So stay tuned for more Thrive by 5 information coming near you, and would encourage you to show those families that you know with young kids or soon-to-be families to our website and the resources that are available. As we move into the coming months, phase 2 of our launch will be more bags being delivered to hospitals and birthing centers across the county. We know that there are other locations other than the hospitals that we are connecting with and providing the resources of them as well. Billboards throughout the entire month of November, as well as continuing to build business partners. Our municipalities, I've been out meeting with our municipalities over the last few months, and I've been dropping these hints of Thrive by 5 is coming soon. Do you want to be a part of this initiative? And undeniably, yes. How do we connect? I said, well, the first thing you can do is you can join us in passing a resolution, and we're going to present that to the board here in just a few minutes, in committing to be a community supporting families and committed to early literacy. And it is my vision, my true hope that Brevard County becomes a place that no matter where a family goes, whether it's the grocery store, the dentist, the hair salon, or the drugstore, that they see images and reminders of, we as a community surround you and support you in the developing your child for the love of learning and a love for literacy, and we're going to help you ensure they thrive by 5, and we can send them on to a very positive and amazing journey the rest of their K-12 years in Brevard schools. So we will continue to stay in touch with our families through at least the first birthday with another book to our families. So we will be setting up a way for families to connect through our website, but we're also, I make Mr. Brune a little nervous, I give this disclaimer every time, but we're in the early stages of development of a Thrive by 5 app. I'm speaking it into existence. So that our families have that interactive connection with Thrive by 5, and we can push out new information to them, because as we know, those stages change fast in a kid's life. So we'll be making that available to our families as well. And resources, again, the website will be dynamic and developed along helping families through the entire development of their kid. So happy to answer any questions at this time of the board before I ask Mr. Brune to come up and read the resolution for the official launch of Thrive by 5. I know you're thinking, finally, COVID got in the way, but no more.
Anybody have any questions or comments for Dr. Mullins? Ms. Campbell?
So I hope that you get to include us on the packing invitations, because I think this is a great opportunity to get the community involved. And just like, you mentioned Children's Hunger Project, that's a great way just to let people know what we're doing and to get volunteer hours and all that. It would be great for students, high school students, hint, hint, those of you who have high school students who need to earn those hours. But I love that, and I hope we continue to involve the community in this initiative. It's wonderful.
We are going to need the community's help. I alluded to we packed 500 bags. Maybe someone was going to ask, how many births do we have a year in Brevard? Well, right now, it's over 5,000. Wow. So we've got a few more bags to pack just to get ready for this year. So we need you.
All right. Anyone else? Ms. Jenkins?
Thank you, Dr. Mullins, and everyone who is a part of this initiative. Obviously, I have a passion working with kiddos from birth to 5 years old, so this hits right at home for me. I love your app idea, and hopefully, as that starts to get developed, maybe we can incorporate my old department and Child Find and create some access for families who really think they might need some support and early intervention for their students, and so we can catch those kiddos sooner than later and make sure our kiddos are on par when they come in for kindergarten.
Absolutely. Great suggestion. Thank you.
Ms. McDougall, did you?
Well, you know how I was always excited about this program, and I'm so thankful. So I'm glad that we are here and kicking it off. And again, Jane, thank you for your department and for making this a reality. And yes, I have passed out the bags you gave me. And these are so much nicer than the ones we first had. So I'm excited about this.
This is the Gen 2 bag.
Thrive by 5 2.0?
Yep.
Got it. Mr. Susan?
Yeah, it gets me in my gut when I see what we give the new mothers. I have 5 children, and being inside the hospital during those times, you can look down the hallway, and there's always one mother that doesn't have people coming in. We had restrictions that were throughout the years that in the beginning, years ago, you could bring half the city inside your room, and lately it's only a couple of people. But it's a sad thing when there's a single mom in there and not to have that support at home. And this is a nice thing to do. It really is. And I think what we need to do, Dr. Mullins, you made a great speech and brought levity to the whole situation, but the reason we're stepping in is because it's a serious thing. And these kids need help. When COVID hit and we were feeding those kids on mobile units to just make sure that they got fed, there's kids out there that because Children's Hunger Project feeds, and they are such at a disadvantage. So anything we can do with everything we have, I appreciate it, Dr. Mullins. That's all. I just wanted to say that. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more comments? I will just echo the appreciation, Dr. Mullins. I know this was kind of your brainchild, making it a strategic priority, and working with the little ones myself, I know the ability for them to learn at those young ages, even amazing things. And so I'm super excited that we're going to be taking advantage of that learning opportunity during those years. But would echo Mr. Susan's sentiments about realizing the need in our community and how this truly can, thinking back about the student data that we looked at today and those fragile subgroups that we looked at. I really think that this has the potential to impact, how they start off and what that data looks like for them for a long time. So thank you.
If there's no other questions, I'll ask Mr. Brune to come up, and I would be remiss if I didn't do a huge shout out to Mr. Brune and his team as well in district communications. You know, these are the experts in early childhood. These are the experts in communications and really framing everything from logos to messaging to how to launch this. He has just stepped up to the call and the charge and done a fantastic job. Deborah Foley, who went out and really sealed the deal with our health partners to bring in tens of thousands of dollars annually to support this initiative, is no small feat. So, Mr. Brune, we appreciate your leadership and appreciate your department.
Good evening. I also want to give a thank you to Kat Allen from my department, who did a great job at this as well. Here we go. Whereas, from the time a child is born, he or she is learning every waking moment. In fact, babies and toddlers are either learning or they are sleeping. And between birth to age 5, a child learns at a speed unmatched the rest of his or her life. It is during these years when more than 85% of a child's brain is formed, creating crucial brain connections. Whereas Brevard Thrive by 5 will raise awareness about early childhood literacy and development, and whereas Brevard Thrive by 5 will connect with new parents in Brevard County when they leave the hospital or hospital's birthing center with their new baby, and whereas Thrive by 5 gives Brevard families a central place to find resources, information, and best practices for their children from birth to age 5, and whereas the initiative helps provide a pathway for every family in Brevard to learn about the importance of early literacy beginning at birth, and whereas Brevard Thrive by 5 encourages a spirit of collaboration with healthcare supporters, business partners, local cities, civic organizations, and community leaders to serve Brevard families and their children, and whereas research has proven that early childhood literacy is a key factor to future success in an education journey, and whereas students who are behind when they start kindergarten make up the largest portion of school dropouts, having less than a 12% chance of attending college, and whereas Thrive by 5 specifically supports goals outlined in the strategic plan of Brevard Public Schools, and whereas it is recognized that when children are engaged in school, the community reaps many benefits, including lower crime rates, an educated workforce, a highly rated public school system, and an attractive location for both employers and employees to reside. Be it resolved on October 26, 2021, that the Brevard Public School Board publicly acknowledges the Brevard Thrive by 5 initiative as one that utilizes a unique collaboration and support the large network of supporting members that make up our community together, working together to serve Brevard families and their children and help every child in the county thrive by 5.
Thank you, Mr. Brune.